What is going on, guys? We are back playing some more Surviving with BuildCraft 7. Now, last episode we started working on the ore processing setup, and we got through the first of 3 different steps in setting it up. Now, if you didn't see last episode and that seems a little confusing to you, I would highly advise you go check out the first episode of this setup, because you kind of need all 3 steps if you're actually going to do it effectively. But if you want to be a little bit lazy and you don't want to check that out and just kind of see what we're doing in today's video, then I will briefly explain that at the beginning of the setup, you need to convert whatever ore you have into molten metal, and you get some gaseous lava and stuff as byproducts, but the main thing is converting the ore into molten metal. Then the step that we're going to do today is taking that molten metal and cooling it off 1 or 2 times, and then the last step is going to be taking the cooled off molten metal and converting it into ingots, and you'll get more ingots based on how cool the metal is, which is why today's episode is going to be the most important part of the 3 parts. Now, obviously, you could say that all of them are important because without one of them, you can't really get anything, but if we didn't use today's part, we might as well just throw it into a furnace and allow it ore to cook down, because all we're going to get out of it is 1 ingot when we convert 1 ore into molten metal. So we're pretty much just complicating a furnace without today's episode, but with this one, we will be able to get all the way up to 3 times ore processing, which is more than enough bang for your buck if you're going mining at least sometimes. So without further ado, we should get into doing some of the crafting, because there's a lot of actual scientific stuff that I want to ramble about today. I guess you could call it scientific stuff. It's not anything super fancy, but I learned about it in a junior level heat and mass transfer course, so I thought you guys might think it's a little bit cool. So we will be going over that, but there's a fair bit of crafting we have to do today. It pretty much just ate up all my iron. That's really the bottom line, and it's pretty much just gonna be a little bit of an investment you have to make early on. You know, about 1.5 stacks of iron is not something that most people want to throw into something when they're first starting out in a world, but we don't really have an option if we want to get as much as we can from whatever ore we're putting in. So first things first, we need to craft the heat exchanger. That's pretty much what's actually going to be doing the work today. And the way that this works is it's a multi-block structure. It seems a little weird, but it's a multi-block structure that's got a middle, a start, and an end. And the start and the end are just going to be 1 block each, and the middle can be 1 to 3. So if you want this to be as big as possible, and I don't really know why you would, but if you want it to be as big as possible, you would be able to make it 5 blocks long. If you want it to be as small as possible, it would need to be 3. So we're going to be running 2 of these, 1 to change from searing to hot, and 1 to change from hot to cool. So we're going to need, at the minimum, we're going to need 6. So this is where a lot of the iron goes. We're going to need pretty much 12 times everything. So we're going to make a bunch of gears today. So we got to make 12 wooden gears, and we're going to need to make more of these later for a different thing, but I don't want to go overboard right now. So we'll make 12 of those, and then we'll make 12 stone gears from those. And then the most important part, or the most, I guess, draining part on our resources is going to be making the 12 iron gears. It feels awful to do that, honestly, but we kind of have to. And there we go, 6 heat exchangers. It is just 1 block, and they do look kind of weird because of how the multi-block structure works. It's kind of hard to explain, but we will see in 1 second how it actually works. Now, the other thing that we need to do is making a pump. Now, I'm sure if you're playing in a mod pack, you've got plenty of options as to what pumps you want to use, and I know the BuildCraft pump is probably not going to be your first choice, but if you do want to use this, then craft it along with me. We are going to have to make some engines to power it. That's kind of the biggest pain, but we're going to make 2 tanks for this, and then we are going to make another iron gear. Lots of iron gear crafting being done today, and I don't really need to click everything in here using a recipe. I'm smart enough to remember the simple ones. So there we go, we got an iron gear, and I believe that should be everything except an empty bucket. And there we go. So now we got the pump, and the last one that we need to make is going to be some redstone engines. So not actually a ton of stuff that we need to craft today. You will need to make sure you've got some redstone torches, some fluid pipes, mostly cobblestone fluid pipes, but if you want to have some wooden ones just in case you got to pump some stuff around, I think we should already be set from last episode with fluid being pumped out, and it'll be pushed through the setup, but just to be safe, I have a couple with me. We should already have the pistons, but we're going to need to make some more wood gears, and we're going to be making 2 of these, so I think we should be good on that then. We got 2 redstone engines, we got the redstone torches, the pumps, we got the buckets of water. I think we should be set on everything, and now we can finally head outside. Now, there was a creeper over here. It looks like he despawned or walked away. I just want to make sure he's not going to blow anything up. And I was also told last episode that this was going to blow up. Here's the thing. I've been told by multiple sources that these don't blow up anymore, and I've also been told that they do. So I don't really know. I worried about it the first episode, but with these over here, but I don't actually know. Maybe I just got lucky and it didn't explode. I'm not going to worry about it too much, and we actually do need to sleep before we start setting this up. But just a heads up for people, do not take my word that things do or do not blow up. I haven't put enough time into reading change logs to be able to tell whether or not they do or do not anymore. I've gotten mixed, reviews from people on whether I'm going to blow myself up. I don't really know, but for now, not going to worry about it. So we're actually going to be breaking these two tanks here because we want to fully hook this setup together. So it's just going to be one continuation from what we did last episode. And that's why this area has been kind of cleared out. And I believe we should get these fluid crystals. Now this is kind of cool. You get fragile, it's molten iron in this case, but it would be fragile molten gold for this one. So you don't actually lose anything when you break tanks. And I think that's a really, really cool thing to have just because it makes setting stuff up so much easier. It makes me much less hesitant to move things around. And you can see with these that we have these at searing. I know we talked about that last episode, but just to show you, 1,300 Kelvin, that's extremely hot, but that is searing. So I know someone in one of the comments said that that was a little bit of an understatement to say that that's searing and then like 700 Kelvin is hot or 1,000 Kelvin's hot. 700 is cool. Like that's not cool. I mean, relatively speaking it is, but it's not. But yeah, so to set this up, we're going to start out with putting the heat exchangers up. And I noticed when setting these up that it gets a little bit weird, but I'm trying to think of how we want to do this. I think we want to set it up from this angle over here. And it sounds weird when I say that, but you guys will see why in a second. So we're going to put it up one, and we want it to end right here. So it'll be 3 long. So this is where we're going to start, and we'll put one here, and this is what it looks like. And then you build it in a line. So then you put another one here. And so technically this is the start, and this is the middle, and this will be the end. But right now it hasn't generated the multi-block structure yet, because we only have 2 blocks. So until it's 3, it can't register, but we put that one down and boom. Now it turns into the multi-block. Now if I were to put one more on one of these sides, it would turn this one into one that looks like the middle like this, and then this one would get moved over one, or so on and so forth. And then if we were to continue, it would get a little bit weird. Once you get to 5, it would just kind of, it doesn't perfectly turn into another one of these, which is why we're not going to put them back to back. I would highly advise you don't do that. You can just put like an intermediate pipe, and I'll show you what I mean by that later. But now comes the important part with where things get input. And I'm going to do a little bit of a scientific discussion before we actually talk about this. I apologize if you don't care one bit about engineering at all, but I think this is really cool. And someone commented saying that they really enjoy hearing me ramble about this stuff, mainly because they think it's cool. And I said I love doing it because if I had known when I was a kid that the games that I loved playing had stuff that was applicable in real life, when you play games, you don't really think about that. Like, this is applicable in real life, but modded Minecraft, and the reason I love mod makers that try and make things realistic is because I think it should get kids interested in STEM fields, which is pretty much like, I think it's science, technology, engineering, and math or something like that. And I think it's important to do that. I think it's a great field. I have a ton of fun in it. And if I had known when I was a kid that playing modded Minecraft was going to be applicable to stuff that I would do in my future, that would have been amazing. So for all you that are trying to decide what you want to do, if you think this is cool, I would highly advise going into some form of engineering or a STEM field, because I took an entire class on this. But what I want to talk about is the fact that this is a heat exchanger. There are 2 main ones, which is going to be a shell and tube, and that is what we're working with today. And then there's crossflow, which is different. We're not really going to talk about that, but those are the 2 main ones. And the reason this is called shell and tube is because you can see that you've got essentially a tube, which is these 4 corners here, running down the center. And then you've got this other sort of tube that encompasses the initial tube, and that's considered a shell because it's kind of going around the outside of the first tube. So what's going to happen is you're going to put a fluid through the center, and in our case, that is going to be the fluid that's going to be cooled. So the hot fluid will run through the center one, and then we are going to pump in this side one of the cool fluids, and it's going to come and get heated. So obviously they're running in different directions. You can do either one. You can have them running in the same direction or opposite directions. Those are going to be called counter current or crossflow, and well, I guess crossflow is mainly used for crossflow heat exchangers, but it's going to be mainly countercurrent or counter flow, whatever you want to call it. But they're flowing in opposite directions, and then there's parallel flow where they're flowing in the same direction. And the countercurrent one is going to be more efficient pretty much every time because there's going to be a more uniform heat difference between the fluids. So you're going to get if you're putting in the hot fluid over here and the cold fluid's coming out over here, then the fluid that started cold but heated up will be at its hottest temperature here, and the hot fluid will be at its hottest temperature here. So that'll be, it'll be a same heat difference that you would have as over here, where the hot fluid is as cold as it's going to get, and the cold fluid also as cold as it's going to get. So it'll keep it more uniform and allow for more uniform heat transfer. And that's kind of my only spiel about this. I think it's really, really cool stuff that it's implemented properly into the game. It's not just a single block, and so kudos to the mod maker that did this. It is astounding to me the amount of effort people put in to actually make this right. You could have put in a heat exchanger, you could have put in a shell and tube one, and you didn't need to put in the more efficient flow pattern, but you did, and that is absolutely awesome. So that's just me nerding out a little bit, but we want to set it up like this because what we essentially are going to do is pump the molten metal through the center one, and then we're going to use water as our coolant, and the water is going to get pumped in through the bottom, and it's going to go out the top as steam, and we're just going to let it go. It doesn't really matter to us. So now we need to set up the other one over here, which is going to be a similar method. So we're going to do like this, 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 and I'm going to try and go a little bit faster now because you guys kind of should have an idea of how it works. We're going to put a cobblestone fluid pipe right here because and you can look this up. This is how you should do it. You should look it up. But you can kind of make sense of it because this is going to be a straight flow right here. And we already kind of discussed that we want the hottest cooling fluid, which would be the water, to be it's going to be going out at the same side that the hottest version of the hot fluid is coming in. So you're going to know that the input for the hot fluid is going to be at the same point on the same side as the one facing up, because when the steam goes out, it's going to want to go out vertically. So if you don't want to look it up, you can kind of think of it like that. You're going to input on the side that goes up, and then you're going to output on the side that goes down, and then the water is going to be input over here and output there. But you can look up, if you search up heat exchanger for BuildCraft 7, you can find diagrams online that'll show you. I actually have one up on my other monitor right now. So that's probably the best thing you could do just so you don't mix things up. So this is going to be the transfer point, and then over here is where it's going to come out. And we can put down, we're only going to put down one tank for now. I'm not going to worry about processing multiple fluids in one. Since this setup isn't even done, we shouldn't really be using it to try and process anything. We can just leave that there for testing. And now we are going to be hooking up the water. So I am going to be digging down a little bit just so that these don't connect at all. And we need to set up our pump. So I think we can do it. This is a little bit awkward with how we're going to set this up. I'm just going to dig out this whole area right here, and maybe I'll make it look a little bit more natural later, but we need to set up a pump in here with enough room to have 2 redstone engines on it. So I think we're just going to go like this. We'll set up the pump, and then we'll put, obviously we can put more redstone engines. Eventually I probably will, but we're just going to set up 2 for now, and we can just, it should auto pump out of here. We don't really need to worry about having any, wooden pipes hooked up, which is really nice. And then we can just take these, and I'm going to do a 2x2 of water. I think you can get away with a, hopefully we're fine with this, but I think you can get away with a 3x3 or 3x1, but I'm not going to risk doing that. I know a lot of times when you're playing modded Minecraft, you can have issues with a 3x1 not properly refilling if you pump things too fast. So if you're putting 4 engines on this and it's actually pumping the water block out, instead of doing, I think what the mechanism one does, which now, because you can get the mechanism one so fast, it doesn't actually pump the water out. It just checks if there's a block below it. But yeah, so I would do a 2x2 just to be safe. I know sometimes if people are running pumps fast, they do a 3x3, but we don't have to worry about that. Obviously, this one's going a little bit slow. You can see there's not a ton of water in here, but we don't really need to worry about that too much right now. Something that I do want to do, though, is move this right here just so that these don't connect. When it gets a little bit cramped, it can be a little bit weird hooking things up, but I believe this setup should actually be done now. Nothing too crazy here, but what we should be able to do is come over and... Do we have any ore in here? No, I haven't really been running that. Darn. Okay, I wish I had some ore that we could process in here. I don't think I have any in the base. If I don't, we can probably run the mining well really quick and get some, because I do want to show this off a little bit. No, we don't have any in here. Okay, I processed, or I cooked down all my ore, which is unfortunate. So it looks like we're going to be moving the mining well. Let's see if I can do this effectively. Oh, I don't even have like kinesis pipes and stuff. Okay, you know what? I guess... Huh. Oh, wait. I got this. Don't worry, guys. I got this. Here's what we can do. So, it's going to be a little bit awkward, but we can do this. Super lazy. I should just go off camera, but it makes editing so much easier if I don't have to go off camera. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to throw this down here. We're going to put in some of this fragile molten gold in here. And why can't it just refill my inventory with fragile molten gold? Honestly, why does it need to be pulling this iron? Okay, so we're going to do that. I think that should be enough for at least one run. And then we're going to break this over here. Is there a reason it doesn't want to get wrenched? Okay, we can break that over there, put it down there, and redstone torch it. It should start pulling it out once it gets one pump on it. We should be able to see this run at least once, and hopefully it'll go fast because it's becoming nighttime and it's worrying me. I don't really want to die, but here we go. We're seeing it run. You can see they flow across each other, and the water will come out as steam, and then it'll go into this one, and the water again goes. The animation looks so cool, and if we have a ton going through here, it'll be continuous, and then it goes into this over here, and I'm not going to break this, but if we did, it would be cool, which means next episode, when we process it, we will get 3 times ore processing from this setup. So it looks amazing to me. I think this is an absolutely astounding look to a setup. The steam looks great. Everything looks great. And I always have loved BuildCraft setups for how they look. They're not just one block, and you're done. It's actually, you have to have pipes, you have to have engines, you have to have everything, and it looks astounding. So I absolutely love this. I know I probably don't sound too energetic just because I woke up from a nap. Work has been very long days. I work like 10+ hour days, and it's a lot of stuff. I'm waking up at 6 in the morning to get to work. Trying to go to the gym every night. It's been a little bit draining, so it's been a little bit rough on making videos, and I only want to make videos for you guys when I think I'm going to be able to have fun and sound like I'm having fun, because I think if you make videos and you sound like you're not enjoying it, it sounds like it's work, then that's not really what you want to do. It's not going to be an enjoyable video for anyone, and so who wants that? So I try my best to make sure I'm only recording videos, and I know that makes them a little bit infrequent, but yeah, that's why, if you guys are curious as to what's going on. But I think that's going to be it for today, guys. I don't want to get blown up, so I am going to kind of break this and reset it to what it was before. And I will make sure that we have a bunch of ore next time that we can process on camera instead of having to do this kind of scuffed setup here. But thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you learned a lot. I do apologize if you didn't actually want to listen to me ramble on about any of the heat exchanger stuff, but if you did and you understood any of it, then you're a little bit more well-versed in the ways of, I would say, chemical engineering, because that's where I learned it, but it's basically just heat and mass transfer. So yeah, consider yourself smarter than you were the day before. But yep, thanks for watching, guys, and I will talk to you later.
Standing in a glass bowl at the end of a black hole, cold, lost and upside down. Faces swirling past me, all my memories rolling vastly.